Around the world, millions of people have disappeared suddenly, and what is left of humanity is desperately trying to understand why. On the 14th of October, a woman comes out of a laundromat with her baby and places the baby in the back seat of her car. After talking on her phone for a minute, she turns around and sees that her baby is gone. She starts freaking out. She steps out of the car and sees a boy in the parking lot who is also freaking out because his dad was just with him, and suddenly, he disappeared. In the distance, a car crashes into another because the driver disappeared out of nowhere. Millions of calls start coming into 911, all complaining that somebody they know just disappeared into thin air. 3 years later, Chief of Police Kevin Garvey is out for a morning jog when the news playing in his headphones reveals that over 2% of the entire world population disappeared 3 years ago on October 14th, and to this day, no one has an explanation for it. Kevin comes across a dog in the street and calls the dog toward himself. However, just as the dog is about to reach him, a mysterious man shoots the dog and drives away. Kevin is furious. He checks the tag on the dog to find the owner's name. Kevin's daughter, Jill, sits in class at school where prayers are conducted for the return of those who vanished. She does not participate. Kevin watches the news where debates continue between scientists and religious leaders about the cause of the disappearances, with neither community able to come to a consensus. A congressman gets in a car with a young man named Tom in order to meet someone named Holy Wayne, who is believed to have the spiritual power to hug the pain away. Creepy. Tom tells the congressman that if he wants to see Wayne, he'll have to put on a blindfold because Wayne's location is a secret. A woman named Lori wakes up in the house of a cult called the Guilty Remnant, which formed after the great disappearance of October 14th. The people of this cult all wear white, smoke cigarettes, and none of them ever speak. They communicate by writing notes to one another. They live the simplest life they possibly can. They live as reminders of the guilt of those left behind. A list is posted about which members of the cult will be performing the mission for Heroes Day, the day when the disappeared people will be celebrated. Lori is not on the list, and she argues with the leader of the cult, Patty, that she wants to go. Patty agrees. Kevin arrives at the house of the dog's owner to give her the bad news. He sees a deer statue outside the house, which he finds strange. The house owner says that she heard the chief of police went crazy and asks if that was him. Kevin has a brief flashback of a naked man running in public. He reveals that that wasn't him. It was his dad. After talking to the owner, Kevin looks again and sees that the deer statue has disappeared. He is confused. Tom tells the congressman that after he meets Wayne, he'll feel all his burdens go away. The congressman is skeptical, but continues on the journey because he has been in pain since the disappearances, and nothing has eased it. Kevin arrives for a meeting with the town's mayor, Lucy. Lucy is giving everybody a briefing about the parade that will be held on Heroes Day. Kevin is concerned that if everybody in town is gathered in one place, the guilty remnant will show up. Lucy is not worried about them, but Kevin is concerned that they are growing fast and nobody knows what they really want. Lucy says this parade is important because people are ready to feel better, but Kevin angrily disagrees. He says that is the last thing he is ready for. Jill has an altercation with a fellow student during hockey practice, and the coach tells her she is concerned about Jill's anger issues, which have worsened recently. The congressman meets up with Wayne, while Tom hangs out with Christine, one of the many teenage Asian girls living on Wayne's property. Tom gets a call from Kevin, who is revealed to be his father, but he does not answer. Kevin returns home and is revealed to be deeply frustrated with the state of his family. Meanwhile, members of the Guilty Remnant receive information about the people they are to try and recruit next. Jill and her friend Amy smoke weed outside of school, and twins Scott and Adam Frost tell them about a party at night. The congressman meets with Tom following his appointment with Wayne and says that Tom was right. He feels completely unburdened. Tom says he'll drive the congressman back, but Wayne's assistant says that Tom has to stay because Wayne wants to speak with him. Tom gets worried. Over dinner, Jill and Kevin's strained relationship is evident, and Amy elicits Kevin's permission to take Jill to a party. Lori and another cult member begin stalking a woman named Meg, who they are to try and recruit. At the party, Jill is depressed because Amy is making out with Nick, a boy that Jill has a crush on, as a part of a game. Meanwhile, Jill gets stuck choking a boy that she has no interest in. She cries as she does it. Meg gets frustrated with the guilty remnant stalking her and punches Lori in the face. Outside the party, Jill finds Adam and Scott, who have lost their car keys. She is about to help them by grabbing a flashlight from her dad's car when they find the dead dog in the trunk. As the three bury the dog, they discuss the urban legend that there are packs of wild dogs all around the city which used to be pets, but went crazy after they saw their owners vanish. Wayne arrives to speak with Tom. He warns Tom to keep his hands off of Christine, but also gives him the duty to protect her, because he knows some bad times are coming. He says he's seen it in his dreams. Kevin is driving down a dark road all by himself when he accidentally hits a deer with his car. However, he wakes up, and it is all revealed to be a dream. He gets ready to go down to the parade, but before heading out, he sees that his kitchen was broken into and is a complete mess. At the parade, Father Matt is preaching, and he tells the people that the disappearances weren't part of the rapture described in the Bible, because the people who disappeared weren't good people. He hands out leaflets explaining how some of the people who disappeared were sinners. A woman named Nora Durst, who lost her entire family on October 14th, is about to give a speech when the guilty remnant arrives, as Kevin predicted. They tell the people, "Stop wasting your breath," and people get angry at their disrespect. A fight breaks out between the public and the guilty remnant, and Kevin and the other officers break it up. Kevin in particular helps Lori. Later at night, Kevin is drinking at a bar when he recognizes one man as the guy who shot the dog earlier. He tries to confront the man, but he drives away. Kevin yells that he cannot shoot their dogs. Drunk, and in a terrible state, Kevin arrives at the house of the guilty remnant and tries to speak with Lori, who is revealed to be his wife. He has to fight one of the cult members to get an audience with Lori. Kevin begs Lori to come home, but she doesn't answer. Patty tells him to go away. As Kevin drives away, Meg arrives and asks to stay with the cult. Patty speaks with her verbally to welcome her and says this is the only time they will actually speak. All the Garveys are having a rough night. Kevin is driving when he comes across a deer and wonders if it was the deer who broke his kitchen. From behind him, a pack of dogs appears and starts ripping the deer apart. The man who shot the dog earlier also appears and tells Kevin that these are not their dogs, as Kevin claimed earlier. Not anymore. Kevin wonders out loud if he is even awake right now, and the man assures him that he is. He asks Kevin to take out his gun, and Kevin instinctively does. They both shoot the dogs. Authorities discuss that Wayne sleeps with teenage Asian girls because he claims that's how he gets his healing hug powers. Concluding that he is a predator, they decide to raid his house. During the raid, Christine is caught and almost killed before Tom shows up and saves her by killing one of the soldiers. They escape through a secret underground tunnel. Kevin is woken up by Amy, who tells him that he has to come with her. They go out into the night and the man who shot the dogs is there. He is shooting at Lori in the distance. Kevin looks down and his feet are on fire. It's all revealed to be a dream. Next, Kevin takes mandatory therapy sessions because he was discovered at the scene where he shot the dogs the night before. Kevin tells the therapist about the dog shooter, but the therapist doesn't quite believe him because he was discovered at the scene alone. Kevin argues that the man left before anybody came, but the therapist isn't quite convinced. Lori takes Meg out to the forest and instructs her to chop down a tree. Jill and Amy are at a coffee shop when Jill notices that Nora Durst is there and she is carrying a huge gun in her purse. Next, they notice that Nora purposely drops and breaks her glass of coffee. The whole town knows of Nora's suffering because she lost her entire family in the disappearance, so nobody calls her out on it. Finding all this curious, Jill and Amy decide to follow her using Adam and Scott's car. Meg gets frustrated because it's been weeks, and she hasn't been properly inducted into the guilty remnant, and no one is really explaining to her why. She's just given stupid tasks like chopping down a tree. She decides to leave. Meanwhile, Tom and Christine meet up with Wayne in a secure location. Christine jumps with joy upon seeing Wayne. Kevin tells his subordinates to look for the dog shooter and his truck, but they are all suspicious if he even exists. Next, Kevin arrives at the guilty remnant headquarters and meets with Meg. He assures her that if she needs help, she can come to him. Patty sees all this and gets furious with Lori. She tells Lori that she is too easy on Meg and that Meg will leave if this keeps up. Lucy arrives at Kevin's office and sees that he has a very detailed investigation going on against the guilty remnant. She does not approve of it, since the cult has not proved to be any kind of threat thus far. She says that between him going to see Lori drunk and having fights with the cult, and him being found at the scene of dozens of dead dogs, she needs him to get cleared by a psychologist before he can work again. While she says all this, Kevin puts 2 bagels in the oven, but when she leaves, Kevin looks inside and sees the bagels are gone. He gets confused and frustrated at what is happening with him. Amy sneaks into Nora's car, but finds nothing. However, as she and Jill leave, they get spotted by Nora. Kevin is informed that the truck of the dog shooter has been spotted, and it is parked in his driveway with a dead dog in the back. He arrives at the scene and is angered when his subordinates insinuate that it is just his truck, and he has made up the mystery dog shooter. Wayne tells Tom he knows that Tom killed someone to save Christine. He offers to take Tom's burdens away. Creep. However, Tom refuses. Wayne tells Tom that Christine is too important and must be protected. She is actually pregnant with Wayne's child. Since the authorities are after Wayne, she cannot go with him. Tom needs to be the one to take care of her going forward. A frustrated Meg asks Lori if she even remembers what her life was like before the cult, what it was like caring for anything at all. Lori informs her that the cop she met today is her husband. She admits that she remembers everything clearly. The dog shooter arrives at Kevin's house with some beers, and at the same time, Amy and Jill arrive too. Kevin is low-key relieved that they can see the man too. The man invites Kevin to hunt another pack of dogs the next day, and assures him what they are doing is very important. He still doesn't tell Kevin his name, though. Kevin goes to see his father at the mental institution. He asks his father how his schizophrenia first began, because he is worried that he might be going through the same thing. His father asserts that he was actually misdiagnosed, but he starts hallucinating someone there at that very moment. He then says something very curious. He asks Kevin if someone has come to see him recently, adding that they said they would be sending someone to help him. Kevin finds this strange, since he recently has been visited by a stranger, and wonders how his dad could have known. His dad eerily adds that Kevin should keep the visits to himself. Meanwhile, Patty angrily tells Lori that Meg has left, but Meg is actually in the forest, chopping a tree. She finally understands why it's important and laughs as she does it. Kevin rushes to his office and screws open the bagel toaster to find that his 2 bagels from earlier were lost inside it. This confirms to him that he is perfectly fine and not hallucinating, and perhaps his dad wasn't either. The Leftovers was an incredibly well-received and critically acclaimed show, which ran for 3 seasons. While the show incorporated many fantasy, supernatural, and prophetic elements, especially in the later seasons, its primary focus remained on exploring grounded themes of grief, loss, and human behavior in the face of the unknown. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like our channel and subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Also, let us know what movie you would love us to recap for you.